Hi, good evening. If you are watching this webinar live, and good day to you. If you are seeing the recorded version on YouTube later on. This webinar is a series of webinars from YouTooCanRun. YouTooCanRun is a social entrepreneurship founded by me. I am P. Venkatraman, a very avid and passionate runner. And what we do at YouTooCanRun is that our mission is to promote running for good health. So basically, we do everything connected with promotion of running. Um, this series of webinars are hosted live on Google Hangout in the air. And if you are online and if you want to be online, you can follow us on Google Plus. We also put it out on emails to a database, and you can come online and you can chat on the side. There's a text field, and you can ask me questions, and I can, on my left is a monitor with which I can view and I can answer those chat questions that you ask me. So that way, it's a participative webinar. Today's topic, we are running two series currently. One is regarding the Sofa to 5K book, which is the beginner's handbook to promote running. And the other one, that is this series, is known as a trainer's log series. So basically, we have two publications, and the second one, which we'll talk about, is a trainer's logbook, which basically is designed to have every trainer log and capture the risk assessment, the initial screening, the continuous evaluation every quarter, the food and nutrition that the trainee is taking. The idea is that if you don't measure what is being done, then you cannot manage what is being done. So the idea of the handbook is that it should form a healthy relationship between, it should be the backbone of a healthy relationship between the trainer and the trainee. And both of them must benefit from having a structured engagement with each other. The trainer's logbook is a very simple book, and it costs just 50 rupees, and we are doing it cost to cost. In the last one, it starts with notes to the trainer, which is the first part, and after that we go into informed consent. So today our topic is going to be about informed consent, and basically, as you can see, it is 2 pages. But what I would like to do is that I would like to dwell upon key paras of this and explain in greater detail why it is necessary, and you will appreciate this. So basically, this trainer's logbook is designed to be one book per year for the trainer and the trainee. So each trainee must have a logbook, and the trainer must keep it with him. And once they must start using this first time they meet each other and start the relationship as a client and as a service provider. And then every quarter they must do continuous evaluations, which of course in later parts of this series we will cover. Today's thing is about informed consent, and the idea is that the trainee, whoever is coming to the trainer, must read this and fill it up on their own. So one of the key things about informed consent is to never don't tell him something like, it's all right, just sign it here. Give him a time to read it and let him read it, let him understand it, so that, because these 2 pages form the basis of the relationship that you are going to engage in. It also sets expectations correct on both sides. So there are 5 paragraphs. The first one is purpose and explanation of the procedure. Second is the risk. We will go through that in a little bit of a detail. The third is benefits to be expected and alternatives available to exercise. Fourth is confidentiality and use of information. And the fifth one is inquiries and freedom of consent, which is also the last paragraph. So coming to the first one, purpose and explanation of the procedure. It starts by saying, I hereby consent to voluntarily engage in an acceptable plan of fitness training. I will not read all the paragraphs because they're a long one, and once you get the book on your hands, you can definitely read it. But basically, the purpose of this is to tell the trainer and to sign here and tell the trainer that the trainee understands the purpose and why they are coming here. They need to understand that during the course of this exercise regime and exercise prescription, be it running, be it weightlifting, be it Pilates, be it yoga, there will be some discomfort. There will be some, heart rate will go up. There will be, symptoms such as fatigue, shortness of breath, chest discomfort, or similar occurrences may appear. So the client is made aware that this can happen. People do understand, it is common knowledge, but it's better to be upfront and say that when you exercise, this can happen. But at this point, I have been advised that it is my complete right to decrease or stop exercise. So the trainee is never going to be challenged beyond his level of comfort. And each one can have a different level of comfort. Each one can have a different threshold of pain. And what might be an easy exercise might be a gut butting exercise for you. So whatever it is, if you're not comfortable as a trainee, you have a right to stop this exercise or tone down or decrease the intensity of the exercise. So that is covered here. There is also, this that during the course of the exercise, somebody will monitor, somebody may measure the pulse, may take the blood pressure, may assess my feelings, ask me how I am doing, and and this is all being done for my safety and benefit. So nobody should say, oh, I'm doing my exercise, and every time he comes and pokes his nose and keeps asking me how am I doing, how am I doing. So this is being done for his benefit. Okay. Another very important paragraph, and in these days of sexual harassment and sexual, all these kind of cases that you read in the papers, it's better to have this paragraph here. So this paragraph reads, I also understand that during the performance of my fitness training program, physical touching and positioning of my body may be necessary to assess my muscular and bodily reactions to specific exercises, as well as to ensure that I am using proper technique and bodily alignment. So tomorrow, nobody should come and say, oh, I was doing exercise. You might be just showing that person how to do a bicep curl or something like that, or telling him how to stand straight and so on. But he should not say, oh, he touched me inappropriately. So some touching, of course, it should be in a non-sensual manner, but some touching is to be expected. So that first paragraph basically explains the purpose and what all will be involved in the procedure of the exercise. The second paragraph is about risk, and I feel that this is the most important paragraph because every exercise, every activity carries some amount of risk, and some amount of risk is bound to happen no matter what you do. So, for example, the operative part of this paragraph reads, it is my understanding and I've been informed that there exists the remote possibility during exercise of adverse changes, including but not limited to abnormal blood pressure, fainting, dizziness, disorders of the heart rhythm, and in very rare instances, heart attack, stroke, or even death. Of course, the next one is about initial risk screening and risk stratification. And if that is done correctly, the purpose of that entire chapter is to see that nothing fatal happens to the trainee. We don't want trainees to pass away when they are being trained by us. And this has happened in the past in many instances in the Indian running scene. So we don't want to have that. So we want proper risk stratification. We want proper initial screening. Okay. So the second paragraph about risk is probably the most important paragraph because every activity has got some risk, and it is my intention to read this paragraph and complete this in great detail. It is my understanding, the paragraph reads, it is my understanding that I have been informed that there exists the remote possibility during exercise of adverse changes, including but not limited to abnormal blood pressure, fainting, dizziness, disorders of the heart rhythm, and in very rare instances, heart attack, stroke, and even death. Now, this entire book, the subsequent paragraphs are about initial screening and about risk stratification. We try to cover the risk, and we see that we don't subject the trainee to the risks that are mentioned here. But cases have been known to happen. In fact, what did this was that we found that many trainers were not doing the risk stratification of trainees. There have been cases where runners have died. Runners have died in races. The runners have died in marathons. But runners have started dying even during practice sessions. For example, in the last training season of Bombay, two runners died while they were undergoing training. with very good training groups. And we believe that if this correctly and if the risk stratification will be done, those deaths could possibly, again, possibly have been avoided. So basically, we are making the trainee uh, recognize and know and aware that something like this can happen. Okay, these are rare instances. As learners, we know what is going to happen next. Okay, I further understand and I have been informed that there exists the risk of bodily injury happening, including but not limited to injuries to the muscles, ligaments, of the body. Okay, now this is something that as runners, every runner, it is said, has his own favorite injury. So somebody has got ITBS issues, somebody's got plantar fasciitis, somebody's got a runner's knee, and it goes on, shin splits, and it goes on and on. Everybody has their own favorite injury which they like to be known by. So some trainee at some point of time should not invoke the consumer law and say that, my trainer made me do things which led me to injuries and therefore I need to be compensated. Somebody can get into that kind of a situation. So basically we are making the trainee sign off that this is something that can happen. When you run, your muscles may get injured, your tendons may get injured, you may have an ACL tear, your joints will be, so all this will happen. Okay, and sometimes you may have to go to an orthopedic and fix things. You may even trip and fall. I mean, being given the way the streets of our cities are, you may trip and fall. So as a trainer, you should get a disclaimer from the trainee that is aware that this. So basically it says, in 3 to 6 months you will see many benefits, fitness level will go up and all that. Again, we want to make no tall promises. 3 to 6 months is a reasonable time for even the most casual trainee to see some benefits. So we put it 3 to 4 or 6 months. If you are an excellent trainer, that as we think, benefits can come earlier, but 3 to 6 months is a safe period of time. The next one is very important, again, from a data security, data services point of view. So we are saying that confidentiality and use of information, that as a trainer, all this information will be kept very closely guarded by you. You will not divulge this information. Forget to any commercial, entity or organization, but also not to anybody else who doesn't need to know it. So bear this in mind. As a trainer, many trainees come and divulge their innermost. A period of time, you become like their mentor, you become like their advisor, you become like they look up to you in many respects. Besides the medical data that you will enter here, you become the repository of a lot of information about the training. What we are saying is that this data is secure and you will maintain it confidentially, and you are assuring the trainee that you will not divulge any of the information. Okay, so while you cannot divulge or share individual data about an individual training, there is an exception that you can share agglomerated data. That is, data that is combined and pooled and on which you do some studies for research. For example, you can say that out of the 50 trainees that I had, 10 trainees lost 5 kgs in the next 3 months. So like this aggregated data can always be shared for research and statistical purposes. So basically, what this paragraph says is it's a very important paragraph. It says that you will not disclose this information and that you will maintain it confidential, and that permits the trainee to come out and say things that they would otherwise resist from saying. So the relationship between you and the trainee, because of this paragraph, is at a much better level, and you can expect the trainee to disclose more freely, and you can of course use that information to train the person better. The last paragraph is the ending paragraph, which says inquiries and freedom of consent. It says that I have been given an opportunity to ask questions as to the procedure. Very important. So don't show off the trainee. Not everybody understands this language in the same way. There are many people who are coming to the world of access for the first time. They have no idea about many of these things. So if there are questions, please answer them in a neutral language, in a non-leading manner. Don't shoo them off, don't shrug them off. Maintain as much peace and calm in your face, however silly sometimes it may seem. But the trainee must willingly and voluntarily sign this, and he must be assured that all his information of the cabinet, his mind should be at rest. And the last paragraph says, which is in bold, I have read this informed consent form, fully understand its terms, understand that I have given up substantial rights by signing it, and signed it freely and voluntarily without inducement. So that is what the last sentence says, which is self-explanatory. And then, of course, the signature and the name and the date. So basically, the informed consent is something that every trainer must encourage his trainee to read completely. What I like to do is that I like to give this book, writing down the name and everything on the cover. I like to give this book to the trainee and tell him that, please take this home, read through this completely, and fill up, of course, the next paragraph, which is about the initial screening, and then come back after 1 or 2 days or whatever is the next session, and come back so that at a later point of time you can say that as a best practice you didn't rush him through it. In many hospitals, what happens, the patient is undergoing, say my father or somebody is undergoing some procedure inside, and suddenly one person comes and says, "There is a sign karo, sign it here," and you sign it because the procedure has to happen. So you're not read it, you're not given it willingly, voluntarily. You're just given it under undue pressure, and that is not desirable for a healthy relationship. So let him take it home, let him read it, let him understand. So tomorrow, even if somebody, if there's a discussion around this, you can say, listen, you took it home and you read it and you came back and you signed it. So what more can you have? And I was always there to explain anything. So that is what the webinar is about: the informed consent, what it means, and what is the best way to get the informed consent of the trainee before you proceed with the next one, which is the initial survey, which will be the subject matter of another webinar. This book is a price publication. It is sold for 50 rupees. This video and the link down will tell you where to buy it from. It's being given out at cost basis. We are not making any money by selling you this logbook. But the idea is that in the world of fitness and training, there should be best practices. And this logbook is intended to bring out a best practice in the relationship between the trainer and the trainee. Thank you very much for spending this part of the day with us, and I hope that it was useful. Do subscribe to this channel and keep participating in the future webinars as they come. Thank you very much.